All right, you lot, how's it going? So let's just have a quick little talk about the age-old question of why do engines need to be ran in? I mean, they're just pieces of metal, right? They're bits of metal that are just bolted together. They haven't got feelings. They haven't got, they haven't got muscles or anything. So why do they need to be ran in when you get a new one? Well, just as a little bit of a summary, I'll do a little bit of a summary at the beginning of this video, because when I normally do it at the end, people don't watch to the end and then they leave a comment to say, well, you didn't really make it clear. So a bit of to do the summary, it is important to run your engine in. However, it's not the end of the world if you do it wrong or you don't do it at all. That's really, in a nutshell, all about it. But engines, man, I mean, they are just pieces of metal. So why do we have to treat them nice for the first 500 miles or equivalent of 4 to 5 tanks? Why? Well, engines are made up of metal. All different types of metal. There's not just one type of metal inside an engine. There's different types of metals, aluminium, steels, different types of steels, probably coppers, and all different types, mixes and blends and whatever else. Your piston goes in your cylinder, or in this case, your liner. That needs to wear equally together, and it needs to wear at a good point. All the bearings and everything inside the engine that moves, all the moving parts need to wear at a good even rate. Now, if an engine is brand new and it hasn't yet got any wear on it, and it is subject to flat out RPM with hardly any load, it's not going to wear evenly, and it's going to wear quickly because all the tolerances are very tight, because it's a new engine, and it will get premature wear on it. Now, that won't be bad usually in the short term, but over a long term, that will cause problems because it will just wear out quicker and it won't perform as good as it should be at that particular point. It's important to remember that years and years ago, when you bought a brand new car or a brand new motorbike, you would have to run it in. There'll be a period of time where you would have to take it really, really easy and put it under a load. It needs to be under a load. If it's not under a load, it won't have much power. When I was younger and I was around the farm with my dad, he was always telling me that when you buy a brand new tractor, you have to work it hard to start with. And if a tractor's not having loads of black smoke come out the exhaust, it's not working properly. It's not working hard enough. And when you want to make it go and do some work, it won't have the power there that it should do. The first thing that a farmer does, or he did, not so much nowadays, I don't think, because tractors these days and things like that are disposable. They're a tool, and the farmers, they don't really see them as a long-term thing. Whereas back in the day, you buy yourself a new tractor, you'd have it for 40 years. So you wanted to look after it. So your first thing you've done when you bought a brand new tractor is that you put the biggest plough you've got on it and you take it out for a day's ploughing, and you worked it bloody hard. That would set the engine up for a good life. Same for a car. You buy a brand new car, you want to take it easy. You want to work it through the gears, make sure that it's working hard for the first, say, the 500,000 miles or whatever. Work it hard. Don't let it do a little work. You want it to work hard, because that will set it up for a good life. It'll have power, it'll wear evenly, and it will just have grunt there for the rest of its life. An engine which is ran in on high RPMs with low load, or low RPMs with no load, ticking over, for example, a lot of that kind of stuff, won't have much grunt. It won't have a lot of power. It won't pull hard. It might run okay, but it won't have power. That's why a lot of race cars, or cars that have been on tracks and things like that, they've been at high RPMs all most of their lives. When it comes to driving on normal roads, you'll find they won't have a lot of power. They might run okay, they might not smoke, like blue smoke, they won't burn oil, but they won't have a lot of power compared to the same car with the same engine in it, which has been driven on the roads daily. That'll have more power. If you don't believe me, try it for yourselves. Now, these days, modern cars, real cars, the engines, when they're built, they're put on a dyno, and they're thrashed to within an inch of their life on the dyno anyway. Before it's even been put in your new car, that engine's been thrashed. That's just the way they do it these days. So when you buy yourself a brand new car, the engine's been put through its paces from brand new. It's literally been built and then thrashed on a dyno. That's the way it is these days. They still tell you sometimes to take it easy for 500 miles, but really, it's already been thrashed, so what's the blooming point? I think a lot of things are disposable these days, and that means engines as well. a lot of the most high-end cars, they are disposable. If something goes wrong with the computer, the ECU, or something else, they'll just say you've got to buy a new one. They won't say you can repair that. You say you've got to buy a new one. So, yeah, a lot of things are disposable, including engines, unfortunately. So, I still think it's important. And when we talk about nitro or RC engines, you know, the two-stroke petrols, any nitro engine like that, I've tried loads of different methods. There is loads of different methods to running in a nitro engine. Most manufacturers will say that you must do a tick over for 2 or 3 tanks at a high tick over. Let it cool each time and go through heat cycles. Some say heat cycles, some say don't. And then you do a quarter throttle, half throttle, 3/4 throttle, full throttle for over a period of 4 or 5 tanks. And that is then ran in at the click of a fingers. I can't click my bloody fingers. I just can't bloody do it. So you have to imagine I've clicked my fingers. Then it's ran in. No, running in happens over a period of time. It doesn't just go from not being ran in to ran in. You know, it happens gradually as you're using it. And even if you've done 10 tanks, it's still wearing in. You might have done 20 tanks of nitro and that engine is still wearing in. You know, the bearings are still wearing, the piston and liner are still wearing, they're still finding their seat. That is the point of running an engine in, to let things find a seat, to let it wear evenly and to find its place. And that's why if you take an engine apart, make sure that you put everything back where it came from. If it's a real, like a full-sized engine and you've got big end bearings, you need to make sure you put the caps back in the same place on the same piston, put the pistons back in the same bores, all that kind of stuff, and obviously round the right way. You must put them back in the same place because they will have worn a certain way. If you switch them around, they will not work properly, or they will run, but it won't be very good. And I've seen many people where they've like damaged a piston or something, for example, on their engine. So they've bought a second-hand set of pistons and put them in, and it runs. It will run, but it won't be very good because they'll have a different wear to the bores now. Same for a nitro engine. If you take your piston and everything out, you can't really put it around the wrong way anyway because the skirt will hit the crank. But you've got to make sure everything is put back together. And you can't really mix and match second-hand liners and pistons because they'll have different wears. They will be wearing different. If you can get them to go together, they will run, but probably not very well. And if they do run, it will. You might think it runs fine, which is good for you, but it won't be good. So that's the point of running in an engine. And if you're American, you call it breaking in, but here we call it running in an engine. That's the point of it. The point of it is to let it all just seat in place, the pistons, the liner, or the bore, or the cylinder, or the bearings, just find their place, find their seat. And after they've done that, they'll sit there and they'll be happy. I've tried all the different methods over the years. You can richen up the carb pretty much as rich as it'll go. Throttle wide open so it's getting maximum air flow. And then just start it up, and you'd think that it would rev flat out, but it won't because there's so much nitro going in there. It can't actually physically rev very high because it's just so much going in, it can't burn it off. It's effectively choking that engine, but it won't be able to burn it off. So the RPMs are higher than tick over, but it will just sit there going and it will burn off that tank probably in about 1.5 to 2 minutes. And that'll be that. And you can do that for 2 or 3 tanks, and then you can just go and drive it. Or you can do the ticking overs and the heat cycles and all that. Or you can simply just start your brand new engine up, let it warm up a bit, drive it around in a circle for half a tank, and then just go and have fun with it. I've done all of those methods, and I've not really noticed much of a difference. I usually start them up and let them tick over, but that's just because I'm so eager to get the new engine started. I want to start it up at home before I can drive it anywhere. So I just chuck it in the garden and fire it up and let it tick over. And that's a part of the running in. In honesty, I would recommend that you do follow, if you buy a brand new engine, you want to follow whatever the manufacturer recommends in the instructions. Because if you don't, and you're stupid enough, manufacturers, this is why they don't sponsor me, because I tell the truth. But if something goes wrong with your engine and you haven't ran it in the way it says in the book, see, they will never know. You can give them that engine and they can take it apart and they will not know how you ran it in unless you've literally done it flat out, and they'll be able to tell them because of the premature wear on it. But let's just say it says in the book to do 4 tanks at tick over, 2 tanks at half throttle, 1 tank at full throttle, and then it's ran in. If you've done 1 tank at tick over, 2 tanks on half throttle, and 1 tank or half a tank on full throttle, and then it blew up, they're never going to know how many tanks on tick over, how many tanks on half throttle, and how many tanks full you've done. But if they turn around and say, did you run it in as per the instructions? And you said, no, I didn't. They're going to go, the warranty is void. You did not run it in as per our instructions. That's how it works. It's business. No company is ever going to say, oh, well, you've not done what we said in the instructions, but doesn't matter. We'll give you a new one anyway. No. I know. This is why I don't get anybody sponsor me, because it's like shops and that, because I always tell the truth when I say you need to do this, you need to do that. Don't tell them this, tell them this, tell them that. You know, I'm not a goody two shoes, but I'm a reality I'm a realitist. Is that a thing? The real life. Anyway, I recommend that you do follow those instructions. I don't, you know, that they develop them engines, they make them, they develop them, they put them together, they test them, so they know the way that those engines perform after being ran in a certain way. But the fact of the matter is, if you're new to Nitro, you've got yourself a new engine, you don't need to be afraid, and you don't need to think, well, I've not run it in the way it says. Or maybe you have a runaway. Maybe you've gone down the car park or something and you had a runaway and it shot off down the thing, revved up quite high, and now you're thinking that your engine's been damaged. It won't have been, more than likely. It's probably not going to matter too much. Just check it over, looks good, fire it up, sounds good, continue with it. Just go and have a good time, enjoy yourself with it. You don't need to worry about it. A lot of the time, people who are experienced and they're in this, same with any hobby, but they're in this hobby, they will make things sound a lot more complicated than they really are, because it makes them sound good and it makes the hobby sound good, and it makes things just sound good when things are complicated. It's not complicated at all, and it's not something you need to be worrying about. You need to go and get yourself a new Nitro car, and what you need to do is you need to read the instructions. If you haven't got a clue what you're doing, read the instructions and do as it says. But don't worry if, for example, you've done 2 tick over tanks and it said to do 3 on half throttle, but you only done 1 because you forgot how many you did, or something like that, because it was on separate days. It's not going to matter. Don't worry about it. Honestly, it's not going to matter at all. So the point of running an engine in is to let it wear evenly before you use it. That's the whole point. And to summarize on that again, is it important to run your engine in? Yes, it's important. Of course it's important. You need to treat it nice. You need to warm it up, especially when it's brand new. And you do need to run it in some manner. But is it the end of the world? Is it an absolute world stopper spinner if you don't run your engine in, let's say, as per instructions, or, you know, whatever you want to say? No, it's not. It's not going to impact the way your life goes. It's really not. So it's important to do something. It's important to treat them nice. It's important to treat them well. If it's a real full-size engine with oil in it, like a 4-stroke or diesel, it's important to do oil changes while you're running in, because bits of metal are going to be shaving off as the bearings wear, as the cylinder wears, as everything wears. You're going to get little bits of metal. You shouldn't get a lot. If you get a lot, you've got a problem. But there's going to be little bits. So it's important to keep changing the oil at least 2 or 3 times during the running in process, in my opinion. Everybody is different, but there we go. In my opinion, the first, let's say, with a Nitro engine, the first probably 4 or 5 hours of running, and yes, hours, I'm talking hours, not tanks. All these gays talk about tanks. I know it's tanks. No, I'm talking about hours, yeah? So let's say most people are probably out for an hour with their Nitro car, or maybe more, but let's say average an hour. So let's just say 5 hours, yeah, that is the most critical point. As I said, it's not majorly important to run it in a certain way, but it's the most critical point where you need to look after it the most. After you've done that, you can just do whatever you want with it. And, you know, same with any, you know, with a real full-size engine, probably 1,000, 2,000 miles if it's a car. After that, you're in the safe zone, really, and you can just treat it as normal. But, yeah, I don't think when it comes to full real cars, it's not as important as it was back in the day. Technology has improved, and they thrash them anyway. Back in the day, you'd buy a new car and it'd have an engine in it which really hadn't been tested apart from it being started up. and you had to run it in yourself, and that would determine the life of it. Mad, really. With nitro engines, as I said, do what I said earlier. Whatever I said earlier, just do that. Anyway, yeah, that's it, you lot. You know. Oh, got something to show you. Some of you lot have asked me about bikes and all that kind of stuff. Perhaps you see one in the background or whatever. I'm in the middle of rebuilding my bike. I'm just deciding whether I want to, how long I want my steer tube, my steerer at the moment. And I've got some new tyres coming for my wheels. And so I can't do anything until I get the tyres, because what I want to do is I want to put the wheels on, and then I want to sit on it to see how high I want the handlebars. So I'm at this kind of stage at the moment where it's sitting around. But yeah, some of you have asked about bikes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, man, love them. I've been riding bikes ever since I can blooming remember. And there was a day when I did a lot of BMXing. Did a lot of BMXing when I was younger. No, I won't be able to do it now. The old belly's a bit fat now. Look. But yeah, back in the day I did. So anyway, I'll catch you a lot later on. Love life. And if you've got any questions about engines, particularly nitro engines or anything to do with RC, but anything in general really, but anything to do with RC, don't hesitate to put in the comments, and me or other people can help you out and help other people out. And if I think it's a nice topic, I might even make a video of it. So I'll catch you a lot later on. Love life. Cheerio. All the best.